All right. I am so excited to have my guest, friend, and live streaming expert strategist. What did I leave out, Ross? Ross Brand.
Best-selling author now.
Best-selling author. Yes. Yes.
I've waited a long time to be. So I published my first book today, and I'm so thankful that you and 99 other amazing video creators and podcasters and YouTubers and live streamers and course creators and tech CEOs and industry professionals all contributed. And it's been a crazy day, but really excited, and thanks so much for having me on.
It's kind of like your Olympics, right?
Yeah. Except people obviously showed up, or I wouldn't have.
There you go. Well, I've got so many questions. I don't know, but we were talking off mic. I said I'm not going to pull a 60 minutes on but I just look. I've known you for a while and followed you and learned from you. So just the fact that you even said, "Hey, would you want to be in the book?" and now just taking the time out of what I can't fathom would be a crazy day. I appreciate that. Let me ask you this, though.
Sure.
People talk about bucket lists and those things they want to do. I keep a do list. I changed it. If my thinking is if I do it to do, I'll never get to it. If I make it a do list.
Right.
But was writing a book on your list?
I always thought it would be something cool to do, but I didn't really know that it was sort of possible for the average person. And I went to a session at Podcast Movement, I guess, back in 2018, and Laura Peterson of Copy That Pops gave me her new book, and it was she just gave it to me for free. It was called Permission to Write a Brand Building Book for Podcasters, and through that book, I really learned about what was possible through self-publishing, through Amazon, how you would market your book, how you would promote it, and the value of having a book. And so after I had the 5th anniversary of Livestream Universe, and we had a big like 5-hour live stream. And I said to myself, well, I do these annual predictions. Why not get everybody to do their prediction while they're on live? Only took me about 6 years to figure out the idea of doing live streaming predictions on a live stream. But obviously when people send in stuff, it tends to be shorter. But when you get them talking, now you have a book length out of it. And then what happened was people who couldn't make it to that, I reached out to some of them and I said, I'm doing a book version of what's an annual blog post. I want original content. So we have 23 or 24 new people in the book with predictions that have never been published before, never been distributed publicly. Jennifer Quinn, who's an awesome live streamer and best-selling author in the live streaming space, did a brand new forward, and then I have some resources, some book bonuses, and I'm just really happy with the way things came out. And it's 99 cents right now for the ebook, which is a text only, and then the $14.99 paperback has tons of pictures. Everybody in it has a quote graphic, and then there's collages. There's some screenshots from when people gave their predictions if they did them on video, and a bunch of like quote banners and different things. Yeah. So both versions hit bestseller in 2 categories. So it's a good day.
That is, that's amazing. And by the way, before we go too far, I do want to shout out our sponsor and a good friend of yours.
Sure.
Of this is Streamyard, which of course, the quote I shared at the beginning was basically it was Streamyard, but that. And
right, of course.
But if you're watching this and you're thinking about getting into live streaming and you want something that's just really super simple to use but very powerful, Streamyard. There's a link down in the description, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. Check it out. You can check it out for free, but when you do one of the paid plans, you get a lot more in there. So I'll So Ross, I'll share this. So Ross, when he all of us that are in the book, we get an email, say, hey, like, here's a copy of it. You don't share it, but if you want to just kind of read it ahead of time, and maybe consider buying it. No, he didn't give me a free copy, but that's okay. I got a PDF. But so yesterday I thought, well, I'm going to read through this, and full disclosure, I thought, I'm going to scan through. Of course, I'll look at my part, dude. I read the whole thing.
Wow.
I mean, it was just like, okay. And I mean, kudos to you for putting something together like this. I've already left you a review. It was 5-star. If anybody doesn't doubt that, go to Amazon. You'll see it. And
you were right on it. I woke up this morning to a 5-star review. I was like, wow, Kevin, thank you.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Amazon and I are like this. I'm on there all the time, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? And I wanted to support you too. But one of the things I said in there is that, if you, and I believe this, if you read this book, first of all, you've got to buy the book. And again, there's a link in my description on YouTube, and I've shared it on LinkedIn and some other places, and I'll share it again. If you're interested at all in live streaming digital media, and you buy the book and you don't get anything out of it, I think I said something like this in the review. You need to read it again because you weren't paying attention. So Ross, as you were putting the book together, what are some of the things that just among the 100 predictions, what are some of the things that just stood out to you?
I never expected that we would talk so much about e-commerce and live streaming and that merger. I know that it's kind of the future of live streaming and that it's going to happen, but how many people were cognizant of that, who talked about it, who talked about challenges they have with selling on live stream? They talked about opportunities, whether it's Amazon Live, whether it's building a product shelf and being able to have people just tap their phone and go ahead and buy something without ever leaving the live stream, whether it's, having an app or a website that enables you to sell easily while live streaming both digital and physical products. All these things, it's sort of like distributed all over the place right now. And I think Todd Bergen said it best. There's a tremendous opportunity right now for somebody who could come along and really put together the ability to live stream right within the same platform where you're selling your products and services. And of course, Amazon lets you do that, but people sell things that aren't sold on Amazon. They sell their own digital products and services that they sell on their website and would like to be able to integrate that with a live streaming platform without a ton of work. So I think that's coming, and a lot of people talked about it. They talked about how influencer marketing works with e-commerce and direct-to-consumer and all these different areas. And so that's a really strong strain of the book. And I also believe it goes well with the best thing, what I called live streaming's finest moment, and that is that live streaming saved businesses that were denied foot traffic during the pandemic. Now they were able to reach people not only who couldn't commute to their store within 45-minute drive or whatever, but they can actually start gaining customers from all around the world. So it's a remarkable, just a remarkable vehicle. Just imagine 10, 15 years ago, this pandemic hit, we're all on our own, and there's no way to video chat or video conference or entertain people through live video. You're basically watching TV, listening to the radio, or downloading a podcast, all of which are mediums that are wonderful, right? And have done a lot for people. But there's something about this interactivity, the ability to have a live conversation, for people to watch it, for people to have that instant feedback in the chat. And then to have your workforce, if you're a company all over the world, everybody's working from home. Even if everybody lives in the same location, they're all working from home. Now you're in touch with your team. You can meet, you can have your sales call, you can have your team meeting. And on top of it, companies found people are more productive working from home when they don't have to tire themselves out sitting in traffic on the way to work, and they can take care of their kids without having to leave work and run to their kids' school and come back, or a doctor's appointment and all that stuff. It turns out that when you give people some freedom to make their schedule the way it works for them, they actually are more productive. Who would have thought, right? And with technology and our ability really to know when somebody's online, when they're working, track everything that they're doing, does it really matter how many hours they sit in a desk in a cubicle or a corner office somewhere? No, you know whether they're working, but based on what they deliver at the end of the day. And it's just been an eye-opener, I think, for a lot of companies and employers that were scared as well. So I know I jumped around on a lot of things
that's fine.
there, but there's just so many good things that have gone on because of live streaming. Of course, there's a downside as well, but it's really been something that's, I think, made life better for a lot of people during the pandemic, as much as we may suffer from Zoom fatigue and get tired of sort of aimless meetings and things like that. There's also a lot of great conversations and just entertainment and connection being made that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
Let me ask you, when was your very first live stream? Do you remember?
I absolutely remember. It was November 23rd, 2015, 7 p.m. Eastern, Livestream Stars. God, can I remember the tagline? It was Livestream Stars showcasing talented broadcasters delivering high-quality content across live stream platforms.
Wow.
Brought to you by Livestream Universe, Livestream Universe. So, I mean, obviously I have a radio background, but that was my first foray into video. And I was nervous. And Jennifer Quinn, who wrote the Jenny Q, she goes by, who wrote the foreword to the book, was the first person I asked. I just thought she was an exceptionally talented interviewer and storyteller and show host. And I said, she would make a great first guest. And of course, we've become friends since, and we've been on each other's shows for years. So
considering the and I want to ask you in a minute about that transition from what we'll call traditional, because I started in radio and did TV and went into new media. But considering how long you've been with live streaming, and I would consider you're one of the pioneers of getting in there and trying it and everything like that. Do you think the pandemic just moved it forward years, decades? I mean, what was the real impact of that you've seen over the growth of live streaming and digital media?
Yeah, I mean, I think it gave people a taste of it who had never, ever wanted to do this. There are people who just, the digital world was something they were never going to go into. And if your life is great without it, the digital world has a lot of headaches too. So, I mean, I totally get that. But a lot of people who were convinced that they would never live stream, they would never do a podcast, they would never get on social media, they didn't have a webcam other than maybe the one built into their computer. They wouldn't have known that you need a microphone to sound really to be heard, versus say using a built-in microphone in your computer or a webcam microphone. Okay, so they were like, good for you, Ross. You're doing that stuff, but I don't want to. I could never imagine myself being out there, being in public, being on video. I'm a private person, right? It didn't take long before they had to go to meetings, do speeches, teach courses, do all these different things that they never had to do virtually. And, within weeks, it was like, okay, I'm kind of liking this, and I realize this is the future. And what webcam should I get? What microphone should I get?
Sign me
How
up.
do you do that thing where your microphone isn't on your desk, so you can push it out of the way, and you don't have to sit hunched over? And how do you get it so quiet when you talk? Like all these things that, I'm sitting here like, yes, I get to talk about this stuff again, because, your audience, if you're talking about live streaming to live streamers and creators, a lot of this stuff becomes old hat. But now there's a whole new group of people for whom this is a big, big part now of their lives, and it never was before. And I think it's raised the bar for us creators as well, because now that everybody has a webcam, an external webcam, now a lot of us go, okay, maybe I need a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. Now that everybody has a USB mic, people are going, maybe I should get an audio interface, or, So I think a lot of people have stepped up their game a little bit. Ultimately, it's all about the content, but still, in terms of the presentation and the audio and the video quality and everything, I think a lot of people who were in it stepped it up, because they saw that, to be an expert, you need to be a step ahead. To be a leader, you need to be a couple steps ahead. And so I think it was good for everybody. It like made our world part of everybody's world, and people started to understand what we do.
Yeah, and then occasionally those folks will go, "Oh wow, it's a little harder than I thought."
Yeah.
Okay. So you came from radio, which I thought was fascinating. When I didn't know that part of your story, and I did too. I actually started in radio and got into television, and then was in it for a long time. So and somebody asked me this the other day when I was on a show, but what was it like, the transition from radio to digital media and live streaming?
I think the good thing for me, you know how broadcasters, people in radio and TV, are very addicted to having those call letters next to their job, next to their name, right? And I had decided that I had had enough with the broadcasting world. I had some great experiences and, good run. And I was like, I want to do something else. I want to have a normal life. And I thought the skills that I had would be useful in other areas. So I was completely divorced from that world. In fact, when I came into Blab the first time, I didn't even know it was a live video platform. I thought it was like, a next generation Twitter chat or something. And all of a sudden I open up Blab and it's like talk radio heaven, except with webcams. And I fell in love with broadcasting again from that. But my plan was not to go on camera, not to host shows, but to talk about in blog form and writing form on social media what other people were doing. And then I called into a couple or guested on a couple, and I said, okay, this isn't bad. And I'm like, yeah, but no, I'm not going there. I said I was done with, right? And I go, well, if I host a show, I could do that to promote the website and the social media and what other people are doing. And so from the second I said, hey gang, it's Ross Brand for Livestream Universe. This is the show that blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, I'm back. All right, I'm not getting out of this so easily. And, that's, you talked about getting started earlier. I think I brought a little bit of that talk radio sensibility to what at the time was a lot of marketing.
Yeah.
Which was great. And I loved that stuff and I learned about it. But I brought a little bit more the interviewer here. When I'm a guest, I'm like, bah, 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 bah. But when I'm hosting and I have a guest on, I really do enjoy asking them questions and learning about them and having them share their knowledge.
So I want to bring up a quote that I know you've seen it, but I want to get your take on it. And it's from our friend Gage. He's the CEO of Streamyard, and he said, while we were making Streamyard, we studied Ross very carefully. I watched his streams while we were building Streamyard. And if people aren't familiar with the story, StreamYard, was it like a year ago or so that
about 2.5
sold?
years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
So
when it sold
yeah,
about 6
yeah.
months ago.
Yeah, they were acquired, sold to Hopin for $250 million. And the only and now I don't know Gage that well. You do. The only difference I've seen in Gage is I think he got a haircut. That was it. So, but I mean, when you see that and they're like, yeah, and you were on StreamYard and you still use StreamYard and it's listed as one of your resources. But how does that make you feel when you see a quote like that?
I had no idea when I met Gage. Actually, I was using Be Live. I had hosted shows for Be Live, and that was the first sort of web-based, browser-based live streaming app that enabled you to add some professional elements without having to become, an expert producer and spend hours and hours. So that let you put on lower thirds and some graphics and text and share comments. And when I first saw StreamYard, it looked a lot like Be Live. And I was like, well, I already got my Be Live. What do I need this for? And it was Beauty Bubble from Beauty Bubble TV on YouTube and Beauty Bubble on Twitter, who said, no, you really got to check this out. This is different. And the minute that I went in and I looked at it, I was like, oh, the audio and video quality is it's next level. And then I realized, nobody had to refresh their screen. It didn't diminish as you brought more people on. So from right out of the gate, they had come up with a solution that was different than what everybody else from Blab to Be Live had done, which was the other people went out, basically they purchased this sort of chat for technology and kind of retrofitted into a live streaming talk show broadcast kind of framework, right? These guys actually had the servers, I don't know if they had them in their bedroom or what, but they engineered this so that it would be stable, so that if I had a great connection and you had a weak connection, or you had a super mic and I was talking into my computer's built-in mic or whatever, we wouldn't sound horrible together. It would work for both sides. Now, so I became all in. I went all in on StreamYard. I promoted them. I had no working relationship officially, no affiliate. I was like, this is it. This is the winner. There's nothing like this, right? And so one day I had Gage on a live stream. It was about 6 months into, maybe 6 months into. And so I had him back for a second time, right? And I was like, so what's gone on in the last 6 months? Whatever, it's really growing. And he mentioned that that's where that quote came from. And he mentioned that he tried to message and reach out to me when he was building it, and I never responded. Now, maybe had I responded, I might have had a piece of that $250 million. I might have had a little stock in the company.
Okay, but middle note, yeah.
Know how Facebook takes messages that aren't from your connections and puts them into a separate folder? And Twitter, and they all do that right now. Yeah. And I check that folder like once every 2 years. I just don't remember. I probably should mark it on my calendar and set an alarm. But I assume that, people will reach out to me in some way that they can connect with me directly. I'm not that hard to find. And so it wasn't until that point that he told me. So I really had no idea. And I was really obviously just humble. I don't know what to say.
I love that. So here's a question. I think it's an interesting question. Spoke Audio is saying everyone is live streaming now. Has it jumped the shark?
No. So
all right, next
again,
question.
It depends. Right. It depends. It just means that where it's getting too noisy or reach is getting too diminished, you have to reinvent it, use it in different purposes. So I'm looking at virtual event platforms and doing events where instead of trying to send it to Facebook and being mad that they only show it to 3 people, whether I have a group of 300 or 3, they only seem to show it to 3 people, right?
Yeah.
So I can't beat that unless I want to spend money, and I don't, right? Because I don't want to spend time becoming a Facebook ads expert, and I think that's got limited use for what I do anyway, right?
Yeah.
I'm not selling. I'm more, just sharing knowledge and enjoying the conversation. And then if people want to work with me, that's down the line. So my feeling is that, you have to look for other ways. And the next stage is, if you have an audience, you have to find a way to use kind of gated content where you make it a special event, you make it a happening, and it doesn't mean you have to charge for tickets. Like I'm having an event tomorrow night, the book launch party. It's free to attend, but you have to register on Hopin. You have to have a ticket, and and it feels like, hey, we're going to Ross's book launch party tomorrow night, instead of he'll be streaming this thing from 7 to 9:30, and I'll come in for 10 seconds, say hi, and not turn the volume on. When I did an event at Hopin, the watch time was like 4.5 hours for an 8-hour event. I mean, if you look at your Facebook numbers, you want to cry when you look at how many, like, you think you had a great live stream. Oh, wow, there's thousands of people watching this. And you look at the numbers and it's like, okay, so 65-70% never turn their audio on.
Yeah.
You could drop that by 1,000 if you get rid of all the people who didn't stay 10 seconds. There's a little smoke and mirrors there. So I think the thing is, it's smaller communities, it's gated content, it's access. A lot of people are using live streaming in their courses. So maybe they had a course that was an evergreen course, or that was a video course, and now an added element, and it also enables them to charge more. People want that interaction. More than anything else in a course, they want the person creating the course to lend their expertise to solve their problem. You may take a live stream. Somebody may take a live streaming course, and really all they want to know is how to get their microphone to work with their audio interface, because they got this microphone and they got that interface, and the software isn't right. And that's what they really want you to solve. They don't want to watch 5 days of videos about how to set your lighting up and your camera and all that. So there's a lot of powerful uses of live streaming. You just have to sort of, I don't want to say invent it, but you have to look where the path is greener. And right now, I don't believe that it is on most of the social media platforms, with the possible exception of YouTube, because YouTube seems to like live streams more and more. Yeah. But that's not an easy go of it if you're starting out. I would say YouTube live streaming, you need to have sort of some momentum going, and it may be more engagement than it is a building an audience kind of thing. Yeah. But there are people who do amazingly well with long form talk who aren't celebrities, or if they are people who are known, they've been away from it all for a long time, and they built it based on compelling content, not just based on name recognition.
So do you think then that we could be in a time now, or going toward it, where, because you mentioned online courses, and I know you did your own virtual event, because I mean, you make it clear. I mean, live streamers, why not get monetized? Why not make a living from it, rather than just, hey, I'm just doing something kind of fun to do something kind of fun, and then help other people make money. So do you see a possible transition that where webinars and live events and virtual events could overtake online courses?
I think online courses that have a live component will have an advantage, but I think there's still a place for how-to on YouTube. I want to learn how to hook my tripod up or something to my camera. I don't want a whole course. All I'm going to do is watch until I learn that I got to take that little thing off, and then that's it, right? I got that. Now I got the camera on. I don't have to watch him. So there's a place for that. There's also a place for people who want to learn how to do things, they have a sequence of things and they may take a course. So I think there's still a place for video courses, but I think what people want is connection, and they want personalized help, and they want to have some sort of guidance as they go through things. And then access is huge, and access is everything, whether it's, teaching a live stream course, people get access to you. Perhaps it's, if you have an audience already, people join Patreon, subscriptions, they join YouTube channel memberships because they want to have that extra bonus live stream where they can ask the creator questions in a smaller group situation and actually have some access and time in a smaller situation. So again, you have to build or have some sort of audience, or you have to partner with somebody who does. So I'm obviously, I hosted a show for Streamyard for a year. When I started hosting the show, it was actually on my LinkedIn, not on StreamYard's, for two reasons. Even though StreamYard was an official LinkedIn Live provider, for some reason, they didn't have it yet. I mean, this is how nuts LinkedIn Live is, okay? I love LinkedIn, but it can be a little nuts in how they decide who has it. They're an official third-party tool for streaming there, but they didn't have it yet. But also because at that time, I had a much bigger following than StreamYard did on LinkedIn. But over time, with the popularity of StreamYard, going live on StreamYard, we added StreamYard's Facebook page, we added their YouTube channel. I'm now able to take what I love to do, which is hosting a show, and do it where there's a bigger audience than I would get on my own channels, and there's already a community built. So think about this, Kevin. When we go to work for a radio station, let's say, we don't have to think about building an audience. Yes, they would like to see that the audience stays the same if it's big, or that it trends up, not trends down. But basically, there are people who've been listening to that station before we were born. And you're getting in a time slot in which people get into their cars and they turn on the... You are working with an entire support system and community built in, right? When you start a live streaming show, a YouTube channel, a podcast, you don't have that. Yeah. There's nobody coming on before that goes, stay tuned for Ross, stay tuned for Kevin, right?
Coming up next.
Yes, Kevin. That's the end of our show, but guess what? Kevin's here. He's going to take it from here. He's got more on the hurricane, and whatever. Here's
Ross with the weather. Ross, it's
exactly,
nice
exactly, and you don't have any of that.
Yeah.
But what you can do, if you feel you have the talent for it, is you can partner with somebody who has the audience but may not have the time or the infrastructure or the talent to put together a show, but feel they can reach people. So definitely the algorithms, as it would make sense, right, are biased towards the bigger channels and the bigger. So, there's that other thing. And then there's those bigger players need help. So maybe your talent is producing, or it's editing, or it's, booking guests or whatever. So there's a lot of ways to monetize beyond just, okay, I build up my channel and I'm doing affiliate sales or selling a course or a book or what have you, or, I'm going to drive all these people back to my business and they're all going to buy, luxury items or whatever. There's ways that you can do this even if you don't have an audience the size right away to do those other things.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's a huge point. One of the things I see a lot of times, and I'm sure you do too, is people, they always want to know if somebody's successful and how successful they are. And it's like, everybody defines success differently, completely. It's kind of like the best camera. It's the one you're going to buy and use. Let's just be honest. I mean, and so there's so many ways to make money and have influence and make an impact that some people just don't see. But let's talk about the book here for just a second. I brought it up a little too soon, but by the way, just to prove that, look, I purchased this right there.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's the book. It's available on Amazon, right? And I know just today it's 99 cents, right?
It'll be 99 cents tomorrow too. It's limited time only.
Okay. Based on when somebody watches this, and I did put a link down in the description on YouTube. But there's the book, and for somebody that's either just watching or finding out about this, what can you tell them about the book? I mean, like
Sure.
why other than, you make a little money, that's cool, but why is this a big deal now?
So I've been doing these predictions since 2015, which was for 26 going on 2016. We've been doing them every year, and it's because all these platforms, all these things were new. When I started doing the predictions, people were talking about what would be the impact of Facebook Live. Would Facebook Live kill Blab? Just think about how much has changed since then. The biggest platform, the one that if anybody knew about live streaming a little bit, what did they know? They knew Periscope. Periscope is now no more.
Yeah.
Right? There was an audio platform that people now use for podcasts, Anchor, right? That came along in its first iteration, and it tried to be like a audio social network. And people went crazy for that for like a month, and then all got fatigued because they realized this is like listening to voicemail. So trends come and go. Right now, Clubhouse is really hot.
Yeah.
TikTok is big. Vertical video seems to be sticking around with TikTok, and now Reels and was it Premiere on YouTube? Premiere?
Yeah. That's big now. Yeah.
Or is it Shorts? Shorts.
Sorry. Oh, yes. Sure. Yeah. Premiere they rolled out a bit. Yeah.
Right,
Shorts is huge now.
So it's always changing, and it's interesting to see what people who are good at this stuff, who are doing it a lot, who have monetized, or who work for a company that's on the cutting edge, or just have their own business that revolves around this. What do they think is going to happen next? What trends are they following? Where do they see opportunity happening? Because whatever we're talking about today, there'll be something different in the mix.
Oh yeah.
If we were to do this in a couple of years, we would look back and go, Kim, remember you were talking about that? Like, what if you could shop on this or whatever?
Yeah.
And it'd be like, you'll be like, there'll be like a counter of how many people bought the book or whatever, like each time, somebody,
Yeah.
It's going to go forward in ways we don't see, but certainly you don't want to follow trends that look like losers, right?
Yeah.
And because, things move fast, and a detour can really, being an early adopter is great if you choose the right path to follow.
Yeah.
But if you follow the wrong path and you don't get off quickly, or you don't recognize, or you don't see what other people think about it, then that can be so there's a major upside of being an early adopter, and there's also an opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Because we've all taken some detours chasing a new platform that we thought was going to be something.
Yeah. And I think that's the trap that is so easy to fall into. I mean, when I was a creative director at a station, and I would tell the team that, we can try and do a lot of these platforms okay, or we can do a few really well. And I think it's an easy trap for businesses and entrepreneurs and content creators to fall in. Well, I got to be here, and I got to be here, and I got to be here. And look, we all don't have the Gary V team of 21 following us around, constantly capturing everything. So let me ask you this as we're kind of wrapping this thing up, is that, what advice would you give anyone who has yet to jump into live streaming using digital media, whether they're a business, a solopreneur, or a nonprofit, or whatever? What advice would you give them?
Don't make grand plans. Don't start going out and purchasing a lot of gear. Don't promise that you're going to go live every day. Don't do your first live stream on a business, page or channel or whatever. Start slowly by taking your phone or whatever gear you have and doing a 5-minute live stream on your Facebook personal profile. Think about what you're going to say at the beginning. Maybe script out your first and last line, because as you know, Kevin, even those of us who've done radio for a long time, the start can be a little anxiety driving, and the end, how do we get out in a way that doesn't seem too clumsy? So that has always been something that can be challenging. So until you've done this 8,000 times, you may want to know your first line and your last line. And they can be very simple, like, hi, I'm Ross. I'm here going to talk about whatever, right? And it could be, hey, thanks for watching. I'll be back next week with another live stream, whatever. But
Yeah.
if you then talk about something not related to your business, you're not trying to sell anything, but you talk about something you're passionate about, a movie you enjoyed, a sporting event, something you like to do as a hobby, an interesting story that happened to you, and you talk about that for 3 to 5 minutes. And then, maybe you take a minute and you look at the chat. If you're not ready for the chat yet, that's okay.
Yep.
You thank people, you wrap it up, and you have a positive first experience. Because I think if people talk about something they're passionate about, where the stakes aren't high, like talking about work and so forth, I think they'll be more comfortable. And just know that, like, my first time on radio was horrible,
Yeah.
and
All of us.
yeah, I mean, it takes time to get comfortable being natural, having a conversation in a very unnatural situation.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, to this day, I'm still adjusting to the camera. I mean, I did this to set up like a talk radio style thing, so I wouldn't be like conscious of the camera. And somewhere along the line, I should have learned to make more eye contact with it. But,
But it's always a journey.
But I survived, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you don't have to be perfect in every area. My lighting wasn't good in the beginning. It wasn't probably that good a couple of years ago. But, ultimately it's your content, it's your ability to connect with people. And then as you get more confidence and you get better, you'll go, I think it would be nice to have a certain kind of mic or a sound, or I want a better camera because I enjoy doing it. But you're doing it as much for yourself, or you're doing it because you start getting opportunities and you just feel like, okay, the person hiring me for this will expect somebody who has a higher level camera or a professional audio setup or whatever. But until then, just enjoy it. And then once you get comfortable, then think about moving over to your business page. And again, it doesn't have to be, here's what's going on in the store today, but you could talk about something related to your industry. You could talk about something you enjoy. But you mentioned, instead of I'm Ross from Livestream Universe, and I looking forward to talking about such and such. And then people start associating you with the business. If they want to do business, they will. It's a long game. I mean, if you need to put food on the table tomorrow, I would not advise like putting all your eggs in the live streaming basket.
Yeah.
But if you want to stay current and stay ready for the next level of the way we communicate and the way business is done and the way people enjoy conversations with one another, it's not a bad skill set to develop, even if you just do it, once in a while. But it's not a bad thing to have in the pocket, especially since we may go into lockdowns again. We may not be able to travel everywhere, or people may just say, you know what? I think we can save a lot of time, money, and energy if we just do this virtually and not have to rent hotels and ballrooms and all that. So I think this is coming, and I think it's a good time to at least play around with the skill set. But no, your business can survive without live streaming. Your life can survive without live streaming. But it's worth trying. Just like blogging was worth trying at one point, podcasting is worth trying, YouTube video creation is all these online things. If you find one or two that you like and you're good at, that's, go where your strengths lead you, because that's what ultimately will differentiate you.
I love that. The book is 100 live streaming and digital media predictions. Top content creators help you succeed in an era of rapid change. Okay, evidently I won't be doing the audiobook for you. Ross, thank you.
You sound really good. I
appreciate that.
Let's talk off the air.
And now chapter 2. Thank you so much for doing this, and tell everybody where they can connect with you, and again, where to get the book.
So the book's on Amazon. If you put live streaming in as one word and you search books, or you put live streaming and Ross brand, it's sure to come up. I've got to say that you can connect with me anywhere on social. I'm happy to connect. LinkedIn. Twitter is the letter I, and then Ross Brand. Instagram's Ross Brand 1. So any of those places, livestreamuniverse.com, wherever you want to connect with me, I'm happy to connect. Oh, and we've got a Facebook group, and I probably should learn to start plugging that once in a while. So it's called Monetize Live Streaming Now. It was created because we had a virtual event coming up, and the conversation will continue there. It's facebook.com/group/monetize live.
Excellent. Well, like I said, I'm honored, humbled you asked me to be in the book. I was excited. I think it's actually the first book I've been in ever. And I'm like, hey, I made the book. And then you start seeing everybody else in there. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm kind of glad I made the book. This is a great lineup. So thank you. Thank you for continuing to teach me about live streaming and for taking the time to be here. Again, I gave it a 5-star. I think that's the highest you can give it. Definitely worth it. And thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me and for contributing and really enthusiastically supporting the project and having me on. And I really enjoyed this conversation. We got to do more stuff together. This was a lot of fun, and I love your style coming from radio and everything, and of course your video is off the charts. Your background, your lighting, all that stuff is. I tell everybody it's all terrific. Fake. I'm at the beach. I just want people to think I'm actually. Hey, you know what? If you can do that with a green screen and people buy it and there's no outline or highlighting, hey, it works, right?
My hands don't disappear. So.
I mean, outside of my green screen, you don't have any idea what it looks like. I could be in a disaster area, but I look like I'm doing the news in the studio.
It looks great. It looks great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
For joining. And I got to tell you guys, make sure you grab a copy of the book. It is so good. And I'm not saying that because I'm in it. It is really good. And I really appreciate him being there. If you got any questions, even after this, drop them down in the comments wherever you're watching this. And we'll make sure we get those answered. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being here. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I'd like that. And like this wherever you are. Algorithms seem to like that. And make sure you check out the book. Follow Ross too as well. Hey, make sure you keep using your gifts and make an impact in the world. I'm Kevin. Have a great day.